Thanks for joining me. This is a replay of the live show that was on Twitch, February 6th, 2018. I talked to John Wheeler and Dana. Dana came by too, Psychic Dana, which got really interesting. It was a good conversation. I think this turned out to be a really good show, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So feel free to check this out. Again, there are clips cut out of here that YouTube probably doesn't like. So if you want to see the show in its complete entirety, it's over at Twitch archived. But this has like 99% of it if you just want to watch this. So here we go. Here we go. Oh, thanks for coming. It is noon, so that is time to start the show. Welcome to the hippest trip on Twitch. This positivity train is leaving the station, but you can still catch it like a hobo. You can chase after and jump on this train. Come on down. We're going to shake the roots and then sit there and eat those fruits of positivity because we are happy today. I'm having a good day. So I'm pretty lucky because I'm joined by, gosh, me and John have been passing emails back and forth for like 6-7 months. Dana turned me on to John, and I watch his YouTube channel. So I finally reached out and had some time to take John on, and I'm pretty excited he's here. Now, for a lot of you guys, this is going to be a little different of a show because we're gonna get into some deep topics that revolve more around energy healing and that situation, which I find fascinating. Although I'm a chiropractor, I don't do energy work, but I have had it done, and I do feel that it is. I'm very sensitive to it. It's very real to me. If somebody does like Reiki or energy healing, I can actually feel it, where I know a lot of people can't. So we're gonna talk to John more about all that when we get into this. And but first, let's bring on John and just find out more about him. So John, I'm flipping the camera to you now. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Take a few minutes to tell the audience what you do and what your channel's about.
Yeah, so my name's John Wheeler. I've just been a very curious guy my whole life. So I've just been fascinated with the unknown and ancient societies, energy healing, crystals. I can remember being a kid being fascinated by crystals because I've always been very sensitive. And I spent a lot of time as a kid very sick, and I could never understand why. And as I got older, I realized that I'm a highly sensitive empath. And I didn't even know what that meant when I was younger. So as I got older and I started learning about what an empath was, I started practicing with energy and manipulating energy, and learning how to put energy into crystals and making elixirs and making my homemade remedies. And I've had a lot of dreams about trying to help make medicine for people naturally, trying to show people how we can naturally heal ourselves, because I've been so sick for so long. I had to figure out a way to heal myself. So I just on a constant learning journey and trying to heal myself and trying to help others, same thing. And yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I we're both in the health arts, although I don't really practice anymore. I still find everything fascinating because I never really got much into the energy world, but I am sensitive and responsive to it, and I do believe in it. I just don't know much about it. It's like there's some healers out there that try to do everything. Like, oh, I do this, I do that, I Reiki, I do hypnosis, I do chiropractic, I do naturopath. Like they're just too much. Like I try to stay in one area and then just like consult experts on other areas. I'm not, you know what I mean? There's some practitioners that you don't know what they do. They're just like everything. so it's good to stay a little focused on stuff. And I think my introduction was crystals. Crystals in this audience especially. We've had a few shows on crystals, and I find crystals fascinating. So why don't we start there about, because I think that's something that a lot of people can grab. Tell me a little bit about your work with crystals, and then how you eventually got around to making crystal wands, and then also eventually into the Ormus. We're gonna work our way up there.
Okay, so I was very lucky. My mom was very spiritual. Well, she's very spiritual. So as a kid, she kind of introduced it to me my whole life. So she's always was into crystals. So I kind of got it from my mom. But even as I became an adult, I was just fascinated by crystals because every time I would grab it, I'd feel the energy of it. But I didn't really know what I was doing when I was a teenager and a young adult. It's only been like the last about 10 years or so that I understood what energy work is and what the energy of crystals are. And I started to learn how to communicate with crystals. And what it is basically learning how to connect your consciousness with elements. So as I started learning to manipulate my energy and energy around me, I started to learn how to actually put my consciousness into things. So you can hold, because crystals are they have memory and they're an amplifier. That's why we use it in all electronics. So what I find is that if you take a crystal and you put your heart into it, just gratitude, love, maybe if you can play some frequencies like 528 hertz or something, it'll actually hold that energy or that frequency in the crystal, and then you can use that for anything. People don't realize how powerful crystals can be, and you can use it for so many things. Like I like to make what's called crystal water. So I'll take a flask of water and I'll put certain stones like clear quartz, amethyst, shungite stones, and I'll put it in the sun. And before I do it, I put my energy into it. I'm very excited, and already knowing the outcome. Like that's what true alchemy is learning to put your energy into things and already visualizing and seeing and feeling the outcome of what it's going to be. It's very powerful when you start to recognize the synchronicities when you start lining the energies up. It's pretty mind-blowing. I spent weeks, I don't know if you ever heard of an aha moment where you're just like, aha, wow, I can't believe that just happened. I've had times where I go days and days, almost weeks, with aha moments all day because I'd just be so energetically high. I'm so synchronistic. But the problem is you can get thrown off so easy, though, by the food, our environment, Wi-Fi signals. So many things can throw you off. But that's what really got me onto crystals, because I just know every time I grab it, there's something with crystals, and it's just the energy that comes off. And I think that's why a lot of healers use crystals, because they're like an amplifier, and they can hold any memory. It doesn't matter what it is. So, you know what I mean? It's
when you say hold, like you put energy into crystals or you focus it, are you actually like visualizing it in your head and pushing it in there? Like, how does someone put energy into a crystal or take energy out?
So, okay, I'll give you a little example. So, like, let's say, I won't show the wand yet. I'll talk about the wand in a minute. But basically, so if I take a regular clear quartz crystal, okay, so since we're a part of nature, this is nature, we have an aspect of us already in here. Like, we are part of nature. This is a part of nature. So if you just learn to, what I usually do, first of all, I'll ground myself. So if you have to do that by visualizing maybe roots coming out of your feet, grabbing the molten core of the center of the earth, or you see a crystal, whatever feels good for you. So I'd first ground yourself, raise your energy up. So just you just can feel your energy. You know, you feel good or you don't feel that good. So once you feel good, you got your energy raised, then you can grab the crystal, focus on it, and you can make an energy exchange. Literally, you'll feel the crystal make the exchange. As soon as you match the vibration of the crystal, now the crystal can take your consciousness, because it's all about matching the frequency or vibration of things. It's like when you go to heal yourself or a part of your body, what you want to do is match the frequency of the healing. Or do you know what I mean? It's like you're matching a frequency, because all crystals have their own frequency.
Like, I have to visualize for me to feel it. Like, I have to see it in my mind, and then I can feel actual, I guess it's a sense of like a pickup in energy. It feels like I woke up a little better, that. And I do feel that, at one time I tried to push energy into people while I was adjusting them. Like, I'd focus and push it in when I adjusted. And I think it worked. I mean, I got pretty good results, but it's just one of those things that a lot of it is my imagination. I'm not sure if it's working or not. So maybe you can help me out there.
Well, I think one of the biggest keys is once you have the deep realization the true, really knowing realization that you create your own reality, then you can do anything. That's the key. The key is knowing that you create your own reality. If you're unaware of that, you're going to have a tough time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have this deep knowing that we all have a co-creational reality. So you have your own bubble reality that you're sitting in, which you're always creating thoughts and always projecting out. But then you have the co-collective bubble reality, which you have to contend with and deal with, because everybody's got their own thoughts. So as long as you, like I said, matching the frequency, matching the energy. And another thing that I notice a lot of energy healers talk about, or people that are getting into energy work, is, it sounds funny, but one big signs I started noticing when I first got into this is I would feel vibrations in my groin. So that's your root chakra. So once you start feeling, because that's where it all begins, is you're grounded. So one big thing that I hear a lot of people talk about, it's not just me that notices this, that when you start getting into exchanging energy with minerals or crystals, you should at first feel a vibration in your groin. So you might feel itchy, or you might feel a sudden jolt or electricity. And then as you open up more and you get more energetic, it'll come up to your higher chakras. But a lot of people are blocked at the root chakra right now. So they're not grounded. So there's so many people walking around not grounded. And that's why there actually is a lot of highly sensitive people that can't pick up energies. It's because they're so ungrounded.
Yeah, it was strange because I remember when I got into energy work around 1996, 97, it was a lot easier. Like, I could imagine and feel energy and see auras and stuff like that. And then something happened the last 15, 20 years where it's really hard to get that back now. Like, I have to be eating perfect. I have to be in a good spot. Like you said, away from electricity. Like, it's much more difficult. I feel that, just in 20 years, it's changed a lot. There's a lot of blocks to your energy. What do you think about that, John? Am I off base on that?
Well, have you ever heard of the Harmonic Convergence in 1987?
No, tell me.
You
about
ever heard
it.
of that? So the planet went through this thing called the Harmonic Convergence, where the whole Milky Way galaxy. So if you picture the Milky Way galaxy, it's in this. It goes in a certain orbit. Okay, so if you picture the whole Milky Way galaxy, it's in this orbit. Every so often in its orbit, you're going to go through energy streams. Okay, so right now, if you go on NASA's website and you click in where Milky Way galaxy is heading, they'll tell you that we're going into a very bizarre radiation belt. So NASA doesn't know how to explain it. No one in space understands what we're going through, but they will tell you about it. And what that is that we've basically, like, trying to think the best way to explain it is, so just imagine, say 12,000 years ago, the Milky Way galaxy was in a high radiation belt. So that's when we created the pyramids, and we've created some pretty amazing monoliths. And as the Milky Way galaxy flows, we go to a lower vibration, a lower energy area, so we lose our high consciousness. See, I think what happens is we're in this elliptical orbit, and every time we come to that stage, it all depends on the consciousness of the planet. But then coming into 1987, if you research it, that's when the planet went through this harmonic convergence, where I guess you would say the frequency of the planet raised, and they have scientific documentation to show that. And they can also see in the ice caps. When they pull the ice caps, they can see the frequency and the like whatever was in the air. The magnetics were different, and they can see it's in what do you call it? Like, it happens every so many 30 or 32,000 years or something. I can't remember exactly what the orbit is. But I know in 1987 we hit that harmonic convergence, everything was starting to change. If you talk to a lot of energy healers and psychics, they'll tell you that we've been going through massive changes. I don't personally know entirely what the changes are. I really don't think anybody knows, because I really feel like we're on the leading edge of creation right now. So I don't think anybody can really tell you what's about to happen, but that's what I feel like it is. But That's when it started, was 1987. I highly suggest people to research that. You might be blown away with what you find. It's something we're not being told about.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you come down. A lot of people that watch the show believe in making your own reality, and that maybe some sort of simulation theory, or you're here to learn a lesson in this lifetime, and you get to come back and do what you want. So, in that idea that maybe this reality is crossing over into some other reality, or getting, like you said, traveling through a disruptive harmony, or maybe it's the rising of the collective consciousness. Something's different. I don't know what the heck it is, but I know in my lifetime it's changed, because it's in some ways a lot better, in some ways tougher. So, like I said, I have a much harder time connecting, but when I do connect to the higher self, it is a lot more intense than it used to be. So I don't know if that's an age thing too. Maybe I'm just more mature now.
I think a lot of it has to do with the GMO foods as well, and whatever's in the air, because all those towers they've been having going up the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you see those RN towers? So my gut feeling is that they're pumping out frequencies out of it. This is what my heart and gut tells me, that they're actually lowering the frequency of the planet. They've been doing that for the last 20 years. So it could very well be a mixture between the frequencies that the elite's pumping out against us, the food, and we're not necessarily drinking pure good water all the time. So I think it's an alignment of many different things why we're all going through what we're going through. Because I have my weeks where I can't tap into anything. And then, like you say, I'd have to clean myself right out, get away from Wi-Fi signals or whatever the case may be, and then it comes back to me. A lot of people are talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, whatever your belief system is, because everybody's watching has different belief systems, so that's cool.
Yeah.
You walk your own path, and I'm fine with that. I'm not telling you what path to walk, but I will say that there's absolute, like, I do believe that collective consciousness is vibrating higher, getting more information. When the internet connected us all together, and we're able to get massive amounts of information quickly now, that does something to the collective consciousness. The fact that the stuff I used to have to work so hard to learn and go to a library and find a teacher to teach me and do this, I can watch a YouTube video in 10 minutes and get it now, with animations, and I can get very difficult concepts quickly now. I talked to my 11-year-old nephew, and he already understands, like, simulation theory, and I'm like, I was playing with Thundar at 11. I didn't know what simulation theory, like, what? Like, the kids are way more intelligent, and I believe that massive amount of activity and energy is raising everything up. Now, whatever you believe, because this is a positive show, so I don't really focus on a lot of conspiracy theory stuff. Not that I'm not saying it's real, it's just it puts my mind in a negative place, in a place of fear. If I'm always worried about, like, somebody controlling us from above and stuff like that, I'd rather focus on things I can actually change and do, and make my life more positive and better. And I do feel that this collective consciousness is being blocked, be it GMO foods, be it electricity, be it on purpose, be it not on purpose. Something is blocking us, and I'm curious, have you seen success trying to remove those blocks using things like you're doing, like crystals or Ormus or wands, or that?
Yeah, like I could definitely say I completely agree with you that something is going on, and I'm the same as you. I just like to talk about positive things, but there is a negative aspect about what we're going through. So sometimes it's good to talk about that and bring it up for people that are unaware, because a lot of people just like to stick with the positive, but the problem is if you stay positive all the time, you might miss out on what's going on. You know what I mean? I do totally agree with you that there is definitely something going on, but I definitely think it has to do with the frequencies that were being pumped out. Because if you could imagine that, let's say the internet, it's you're absolutely right. It's mind blowing the amount of things you can learn, and the most beautiful part about it is that in real time we can hear when a major catastrophe happens on the other side of the world, and they can as well. So let's say if we had thousands of people in our area see a major disaster happening on the other side of the planet, if we all even show a little bit of compassion for that, that's huge. And we've never been able to do that in our lifetime, in humanity's lifetime, where you could have a crazy natural disaster happen. We can see it in real time and put our heart and compassion out to it. That makes massive changes around the world. I don't think people quite can understand the amount of changes that are happening or are just about to happen simply because of the internet. That's got to be one of the biggest eye-openers that's ever happened to us. You know what I mean? There's just so much we can learn and see. And you're right about the kids. The kids are learning stuff that we couldn't wrap our brains around.
Yeah, I mean,
right when we were young.
If you had come to me 30 years ago and said, you know, you're going to be walking around with all the knowledge of the world in your pocket at access anytime you want, like a Star Trek, computer, I would have laughed at you. That you could communicate, I've had shows, international panels where we've had people from 10 different countries come on and talk, and it's crazy to think that kind of information and technology can happen. And I do believe that if we put our intentions out there, we can do good things and positive things. Like you said, there's a disaster, let's send them some love. Somebody's struggling, let's send them some love. That stuff does matter, and it does work.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's so much power, especially in groups of people. Like, I don't know if anybody's out there has been involved in group meditation. There's so much power and healing that can happen. I've seen people go in there so distraught, literally on the verge of life or death, and they do a group meditation with the intent of healing themselves, and they're excited before they go in. That's the key. And if you get someone that is unsure about it, they won't have half the healing of it. So it has a lot to do with your consciousness and your belief systems. So if you're open for it and you're open for belief systems, or you're open for the energy, then you'll receive it. It's just like when you get Reiki done. If you're not open for it, if you shut down your energy system because you're nervous about it or you don't believe it, well, you might not get nothing out of it. But if you're open for it and you're excited, you're like, yes, I can't wait to actually feel what it feels like to feel good, you might have the greatest thing that's ever happened to you. Yeah. I think it go either way.
I think that's accurate, because I know that going into any sort of healer with the right attitude, it absolutely matters. Because I've had patients come in that are really, you can't do nothing for me, doc. I've been to everybody. I'm just a lost cause. I don't even know why I'm here. My wife made me come. That kind of thing. That dude, I don't even take those patients. I'm like, nah, I'm not your doc. But if you have someone that really is like, hey, I think you're the guy that can help me, they will automatically get better results, because I think that faith element's important, and that they're open to that, receiving that healing or energy.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I always try to get people to understand, if you go to a Reiki healer, you got to understand all they are is a facilitator. You're actually doing the healing. All they're there is to raise their own vibration and giving you an opportunity to match it. That's it. It's not like they're literally, like, they're putting out energy, but it would go against your free will. It goes deep if you think about it, that for somebody to be able to exchange energy to you on a deeper, higher level, you have to accept it, and you have to have some kind of joy for it. You're going to block it. You're not going to get it. And you got to realize you're actually doing most of the work yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's what an energy healer is. It's just a facilitator. That's really. So if you hear energy healers talk about, if they think that they're doing all the work on you and that, I wouldn't believe them. If you hear energy healers say, look, you're doing the work, you just got to match me, basically. Because everybody is very powerful being. We just don't know it yet. Everybody's extremely powerful. Everybody has abilities that's locked down right now that we're going to have unlocked very soon. I can see it coming. People don't realize that we have healing abilities in us.
Yeah, it's something majorly's happening over the last few years, because I've seen some massive changes in just the way people think, what people are talking about, stuff that I would have never thought, and I'm excited about it. I have a very positive attitude that I feel like, we're starting to go to a better place finally. That there's so much gloom and doom out there that people cast in the newscast, and what's great is I'm seeing a whole group of people just stop watching news. They stop paying attention to the negative stuff. They stop letting fear make all their decisions. And that, just a small group of people doing that sends out a real big vibration that everybody else picks up on. You know, if you'll notice, because a lot of this audience is empaths, and they're that kind of person who everybody else wants to be around when they're upset. You're like the high vibe person, and everybody around you is kind of pulling at you. And I think we attract each other, hopefully, and help build each other up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we attract each other. So let's get down to the topic of the day. I teased the topic, what is Ormus? Could you explain what it is at a layman's level, like for people who've never heard of it?
So basically, now there's different types of Ormus. Now, if you were to think about the real deal Ormus that people have been talking about in ancient times, like the Philosopher's Stone, or what alchemy is, that would be taking base metals and turning to gold, is what supposedly alchemy is. But I don't buy into that. I don't think that's what alchemy was the whole time. I think it was about energy and about making elixirs to heal people. It was about enlightenment and about youthing, like just trying to be youthful, you know? So like back in the day, they always talked about gold, so you can take liquid mercury and you can extract the elements out of gold. So that's one way of doing it, which is probably the highest, best way you can do it if you have the machinery. I've never tried that. I would love to do that one day. Or the other way is to do it by salts and washing soda. Because I've showed people on video how to do it, but I'll quickly explain how I do it and kind of what I feel it does and what it's all about. Is so basically you take some kind of mineral salt, either like a Himalayan mineral salt or a Celtic mineral salt, and then you would mix that with a Dead Sea salt. That's the one that's a little bit harder to find. There's only one store in my whole area that sells real deal Dead Sea salt, not the Bass stuff, like stuff that's actually from the Dead Sea. You get that, and then you get washing soda or lye. I've never done it with lye because I can't get food grade, but I found a place I can get it. Now so I've been doing it with washing soda the whole time. So basically, when you mix those together and you let them ferment for a week, in the week though, every day you would canteen the water off the top. Like I got some Ormus back here brewing up right now. But basically, after you've taken the water off so many times, I usually do it 7 times, you'll end up with this milky substance at the bottom. So that's the fermented different salts in the washing soda. Now, it's hard for me to explain the deep science about it. I know some of it, but basically it's like a mineral supplement. It's like, because our soils are so depleted with minerals, and we're not getting the minerals like we should. So many people are so fatigued and get anxiety, depression. I feel it has a lot to do with your minerals, which controls your hormones, which makes you up and down all the time. So I think a lot of people are up and down because of hormone imbalances from not getting the right minerals and that. So basically, it's just like a mineral supplement. I don't have any scientific devices to tell you exactly what it is, but it's a very high alkaline mineral supplement. So I've tested it on fish, I've tested it on plants, I've tested it on myself. I feel tremendously better. And when I'm getting affected by the Wi-Fi signals or people's negative energy, if I take a couple drops of that and I just kind of chill out for a second, I feel amazing. It's like it completely takes it away.
Well, can I ask, how's the application work? Because if you're mixing salt water and lye and stuff, are you talking about you just take like a droplet out of this and put it in a glass of water? You're not drinking straight salt water, and how does this work?
Well, after, so let's say when you put it in the jar for the first time, if you leave it for 24 hours, it'll settle down to the bottom, and you'll have a layer of clear water. If you suck that water out and you gave it to a plant, the plant will die right away. So that water that you suck off it's got such a high pH, it's like 11% or 11 point something pH, so that's too high, right? So that's why you got to canteen it. Some people do it 3 or 4 times. I like to do it 7 to make sure. And after you've canteen it, you've taken all of the high, basically all the boron out of it, all the bad chemicals come out of the top. All the good stuff sits at the bottom. There's a lot of good videos online about it, that they actually have devices that they can show you what sits at the bottom. But it's all the minerals and all the good stuff will always float or always go down to the bottom. Everything that's bad, if there's any heavy metals in it or anything bad, will always float to the top.
I gotcha.
And all the extra salt you don't need, you know what I mean?
Tracy LPN is asking a question in chat. She says, how often should Ormus be taken, and how often for the best effects? So give us your assessment on how do people use it.
Okay, now, so this is where it kind of gets funny, because Ormus is an amplifier. So when you take it, it can amplify your mood. So if you're not feeling well, I wouldn't just take it to get yourself to feel good. What I would do is find that feeling of feeling good first. Build yourself up. I know you're not going to be feeling good, but like, say, if I wake up in the morning and I don't feel very good, and you're like, okay, I rub my hands together, I build my energy up, I maybe do a little visual meditation just for a minute or two, and then once I feel good, then I'll take it. But I find if you take it not feeling good, it'll amplify your not feeling good, honestly. And if you feel good taking it, it'll amplify that too. The problem is every day is different, because if you have a stressful day, you might need a little bit more. If you feel really good that day, you ate really healthy, you might not need it at all. Like me personally, I take it 3 to 4 times a week, once or twice a day. I don't take it every day. Some people do. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you really should take it when you feel like you need it. I don't agree on taking things every day. I think you need to give your body a little bit of time to filter it through. And depending on where you get it, it can be very potent or not very potent. That's the thing. It all depends on who you get it from.
Yeah, Tracy.
So if you get it,
Tracy LPN says, I bought some Ormus online. It kind of tastes fishy. Is that normal?
If it tastes fishy, they didn't filter it out enough. That's the key too. If you taste fish, they didn't take everything out of it. They didn't filter it enough. That's the first thing I notice. Once I start tasting fish, I know it still has a lot of the stuff out of the washing soda and whatever impurities are in the salts, because salts have impurities. Everything kind of has its own thing. That's why if you get it and you taste that fishy or the salt taste, they didn't canteen it enough. That's the problem. You should never taste that. It's not that it's bad. It's just I personally, if you get a batch that tastes like that, I would take it all out, dump it in a mason jar, fill it up with water, let it sit, suck the water off, and then try it. You can canteen if you buy from somebody. It's just that they didn't do it enough. That's all.
Tracy says thank you. Okay, so that's important, and I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in too. A lot of doctoring I was doing was dealing with people. People with bad guts is like epidemic now because of the food, and people don't absorb stuff anymore. So I usually tell patients, depending on whatever minerals they're doing or nutrients, that you really should kind of fast and not take it every day. You should give your body a chance to, I'm a big proponent of fasting a lot, so I would not do anything for a day and then take the supplement. And you'll get a much bigger hit if you rest your gut for a day and then add whatever you're trying to take. That's all, my 2 cents.
Absolutely.
I just want to throw my 2 cents in that.
You.
Yeah, because if you take it every day, it doesn't absorb well.
That's right, and your body starts getting used to it, and you can get overload. You can get overload of minerals, and that can actually make you sicker than not having enough. You know what I mean? There's people that take too much minerals, and they get over-mineralized, and they get sick from it, right? But, I'm glad that you brought up gut problems. This is a little bit off of this topic, but I really want to show a product that I got my hands on, okay? I don't know. Have you ever heard of a guy named Dr. Bush?
No.
Dr. Zach Bush?
I don't know him. But go ahead and tell me about it.
He's got a YouTube channel. Mind blowing, this guy. So he's probably one of the greatest spiritual scientific speakers I've ever heard that can mix spirituality and science. So he worked for the chemotherapy cancer ward for like 10 years in the early 2000s. And then when 2008 came, he ended up losing his job, got sent to somewhere else, but he knew something wasn't right. So he forever since '08 researched what's the real way we can cure disease. He came up with a supplement that blows my mind away. This is what it looks like. It's called Restore. So basically what it does is it repairs your gut lining. Because what I've learned is inside your gut, now I'm trying to remember what he called it. I don't remember what he called it, but you have these like elastic bands all through your gut.
The xylem.
And your gut's intelligent. Yeah,
the xylem like fibers,
so like, yeah, exactly. So you have like these fibers that open and shut all the time. So when you eat something, if you have leaky gut syndrome, they're always loose and open. So you could let a lot of toxins in your body, because they say 80% of the population right now could very well have leaky gut syndrome. And that's why so many people are having hormone issues, all these issues. Where this Restore stuff, what it does is it tightens up those junctures and it puts the intelligence back in them. So that way now when you eat something, once your tight junctures, I think that's what they're called, tight junctures, he called them. Once they all tighten back up in the band around your gut liner, then you're only going to allow what you need in. But if you have leaky gut syndrome, they're all loose, and you're just letting in all the crap that you eat. You know, where this stuff restores your gut liner, and they've done studies on it where they took cultures of people's guts, and they would put it right on the gut culture, and it instantly would repair it. Like, I mean, instant. There's a lot of good videos on it. I would highly suggest if anybody has any gut issues, or if you've been told you have leaky gut, this here might completely restore it that quick. I've got gut issues, and I feel so much better since I've been taking it.
Thanks for the advice, because I know I've used some stuff too. I cycle. Every few years I change the gut repair product, but it is necessary, because every single sick person that comes in has a leaky gut that I've seen. I mean, if they're sick enough to come in an office, they got a leaky gut. And if you got allergies or autoimmune disease, or you're starting to get sick to every food, you got a leaky gut, man. And most health problems start there. There's two things. If you just handle leaky gut and inflammation, like 99% of stuff gets better. It's crazy. You just handle those two issues. I do want to let you show the Ormus in the background, and then I'm going to bring Dana on. She wants to come hang out. So go ahead and show us some of the Ormus.
Okay, so these ones here are fresh batches that I got going on right now. So basically, I started this morning. So what I did was I took 4 tablespoons of Himalayan mineral salt in this one, and I took 4 tablespoons of Dead Sea salt, and then you got to match it with washing soda. So what washing soda is it's baking soda, but it's been cooked down at 400 degrees for 4 hours. So it changes the molecules of baking soda. So that's basically what happens. So what I'll do is I'll leave this for 24 hours. Eventually, all this sediment will come down. So there might be like that much water. I'll suck the water off, pour spring water back in, shake it, leave it for another 24 hours. I do that 7 times. And at the end of the 7th day, it'll end up being probably down around where that crack is, and there's your Ormus. It's really simple to make. It's unbelievably simple and cheap to make. And it could profoundly help your hormone issue if you have hormone issues, or I find it can really wake you up too. Like I've taken it before where I felt amazing, really, really good, and I had instant visions. It can bring on visions, almost instant.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you if there's some people don't really take it for health; they take it for spiritual connection. So tell us how that works.
Well, that's what it's mostly for. It's mostly for spiritually enlightened people. But you know, if you take it and you're not aware, if you're not awake and aware, you'll most likely just get the healing properties of it. Because remember, this is like an amplifier. So the Ormus is going to attune to you for whatever you need it for. So if you're very spiritually advanced and you're very energy sensitive, it's going to amplify that in you, and it's going to bring on vision. I've had it many, many times where I'll intentionally sit here, ground myself, do a little bit of meditation in the intent of a vision or whatever the case may be. I'll take some Ormus, sit here for a minute, and it comes on. I don't always intentionally take it for that. Sometimes I take it because I want to keep my good feeling going further. But it's amazing if you want to have some deep visions and some deep insight into yourself, because it literally can open up your whole chakra system. And I feel like it decalcifies your pineal gland. Because since I've been taking it I've been taking it for a little over a year now. And I honestly can say my visions have been tenfold since. I get a lot of crazy dreams. If I take it before bed, I'll have amazing dreams. I'll wake up with information. Like it's pretty incredible.
I mean, is it equivalent to, say, like tripping on mushrooms kind of thing, or is it more like a gentle burn?
There's no there's no real trip. So you have to put your consciousness there. So like if you normally can have visions, like so if you sit there and meditate, and if you can naturally bring on a vision, or even if you just daydream and an idea pops in your head, that's what it does to you. It'll amplify your ideas and visions of what you want for yourself, or whatever the case may be. But it's not a hallucinogenic at all. It won't make you hallucinate. You would have to bring the hallucination on, but it amplifies it. So that's the thing. If you want to have a hallucinogenic feeling without taking mushrooms, you can achieve it with something like Ormus.
Got it.
You have to do your own work. It won't do it for you. You have to actually do your inner work to make it happen.
Well, I'm going to take a minute and bring Dana on. Now, you guys, I switched over from using Google Hangouts to Skype, so I've never brought on a second person. I'm hoping this goes well. So just a warning now. Let's see if we can get this to work. And I think hopefully Dana is there. And there she is. And create group. I hope this works. I've never done it. So Dana, let me know if you hear this. It looked like she came in there for a sec. Dana? Ah, there she is. She's coming in. Cool. It's working. Oh my goodness.
It's working.
It's working.
Hi.
Can you?
Hello, Taryn. Hello, John. Nice to see you. It's been such a long time.
I hear you fine. I don't know if John can. John, can you hear her?
Hello?
Yeah, John, I'm sorry. I think it just took a second to connect. Can you hear Dana?
Can you
Try
hear
it
me?
again, Dana? Yeah. How's it going,
John.
Dana?
I'm good. How are
Hey.
you?
Good.
Good. Long time no talk.
Yeah, a little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Awesome. Glad to
Interesting
hear you.
show so far.
Yeah. No, it's been good. It's been really good.
Excellent information. I really and actually, didn't you have a jar that you were supposed to give me and we never actually connected?
That's right. I made a Batina, and I have a necklace of hers too. Because if I make for somebody, I really like to get a personal item from them. Because to me, the energy that holds in the item, it's just like sometimes if a psychic reads you, so want to take your keys. Well, it's the same kind of thing. I'll take a personal item and I'll make a batch specific to that person, put their item with it, and now it's for that person. And I never got to get any to Dana. So I'm going to have to get some to you, Dana. We got to meet up sometime soon.
My pendant. Yes,
I do.
Have my pendant. Yeah, good. I would love to connect to get that.
Dana, can you
Hi,
see?
Taryn.
Hi, how are you, sweetheart? It's good to have you back. Can you see him okay?
I can see him all I can see is his face right now, but I have my little computer here, so I'm watching the chat and everything. I got all set up.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good.
Go ahead, John. Show us your pendant.
Out there. Sorry, Taryn, say again.
John was trying to show us something, but I didn't get to see it.
No, this is Dana's pendant. So this pendant here, Dana lent me to make her a ball of Ormus. So this pendant means something to Dana. So I took the energy from her, from the pendant, and put it into elixir. That's what energy work's all about, taking someone's item. It's the same thing when a psychic reads somebody. Same thing.
Absolutely. I have quite a few of John's little trinkets. I have a wand of his as well that I use. And I know it really helps me. I put it between me and the computer, especially if I'm doing a lot of computer work. I'll have this wand, and it really just kind of helps the frequencies, I think.
Well, can you explain? We haven't even talked about wands yet. What are they for? What do you use them for? How they work? I don't know anything about wands.
They're pretty.
They are beautiful.
They are.
So basically, now, have you ever heard of orgone energy?
Yes.
I know what orgonite is. Like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so orgone energy. So basically,
But tell the people
take,
that don't know we got a lot of listeners that this is the first time they've ever heard of this stuff.
Okay, so what orgone energy is basically, it's like you take crystals, minerals, and metals, and you mix them together in layers. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a metaphysical shop, you'll see pyramids. A lot of people make orgone pyramids. I don't know where mine is, but basically, when you mix minerals and crystals and metals together, it creates what's called a piezoelectric field. So what that can do is it can completely zero out Wi-Fi signals. It's shown to take positive ions and it filters them into negative ions. So what happens is, so basically, I'll show you how it works. So inside of here, I have a quartz crystal that matches this crystal. Same thing on the top of here. If I were to put an amethyst up here or a citrine crystal, I would match it on the inside. So what's above, so below. And then I also have layers of metals and minerals and crystals in here, all crushed up. And when you do that, that's how you get this piezoelectric field. And if you're an energy seer, if you can see energy, you would see a figure 8 torsion field thing happening. So what it's doing is it's sucking all the energy that's around us in the atmosphere. And there's a lot of positive ions. Positive ions are very bad for you. They make you sick. Animals don't like it. Plants don't grow very good. So this is taking all the positive ions in the air around me and filtering them into negative, because negative is a very healing energy, negative ions. That's basically all it does. And it's really good for intent. So if you were to put your intent into this, and visualize, and then just put it out to the universe. It's an amazing manifesting tool. If you just learn to put your conscious out to it, match the frequency and energy of the crystals, and then just put it out to the universe. I do it all the time. It's very powerful. And Dana is the same thing. When she says you put it on the computer, it absolutely will protect you from Wi-Fi signals and dirty electricity. I don't have the device on me to show you, but I have a friend that has a EMF reader. And when we put our cell phones down, you call a cell phone, you'll see the magnetic field reader spike. If you were to put a wand beside it, it doesn't do anything. It zeroes out the field. So basically, it zeroes out unnatural frequencies and energies around you, is what it's really doing.
And Dana, what's your experience with actually owning a wand?
So I use it all the time. Sometimes I have a bad habit of actually sleeping with my phone or my computer because I need a little something extra to help me fall asleep. So I know that it actually affects me while I'm trying to fall asleep. Even though I want to watch something, I'll actually put the wand in front of me and right in between me and the device, and it seems to just allow me to sleep. And it allows me to not feel it. It's really hard to explain. And sometimes I think it's all in your head, but I've used it long enough now to know that it benefits me while I'm doing it, so I use it. I think it's an amazing thing. And one of the first times that I met John was at this really cool little store in Guelph called the Ninth Vibration. And he came in with all of these wands and these neat things that he had built, and a box of, I don't know exactly what it was, John. I can't remember what you called it. But it's all about frequency. And we had a friend there, Lloyd, who was making me stand, looking at the wall. And he was actually moving me with these wands, but I was like 10 feet away. But everything he was doing, I could feel in the energy. I wasn't looking at him. I would just move when he would move the wands. And it was a really interesting experience. Do you remember that, John?
Yeah, Dana, I'm glad that you brought that up. That was an amazing experience because Lloyd is a Reiki healer. So Lloyd understands how to use energy, manipulate energy already. And I remember he got Dana to stand on the side corner of the room. Me and him stood there, and we both put our intent into the wand. And then Lloyd aimed it at Dana, and he moved it up and down, side to side, and we seen Dana move with the wand, and she was not even facing us.
No,
that was
very
incredible
and
to watch.
I could feel it. I could feel the energy coming to me, and I could feel it moving, and that's kind of why I moved with it, because I wanted to show that I was sort of feeling it in a very tingly sort of way, and it was localized as well. So it was a really interesting day that day. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, another thing too. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add too is there's a few people that told me that they've been having a lot of issues going to public places like Walmart or whatever, because they're picking up on people's energy, you know, the energy of the tube lights, and there's big Wi-Fi modems in Walmart. So if you're energy sensitive, it's probably going to affect you. Well, they say every time they go into Walmart with a wand in their purse or their pocket, they don't feel it no more. So it's like it protects them. Yeah, exactly. Me too. If I go to Walmart and I don't feel very good, yeah, I'll keep my wand in my pocket, or I make necklaces with orgone wands, and I go into Walmart, I don't feel anything. Nothing.
So the one that you gave me, John, fits in my hand perfectly. It's the perfect size. Like, you have really big ones, which I really love as well, but the one that you gave me just fits in my hand. I still have it. It's actually in my box. I can't move it right now because all my technology is on it, but I use it all the time. I swear by it. And you make some really cool furniture that has crystals and orgone in it as well. So I think that's amazing. I saw some of your stuff at Lloyd's store. Really?
Yeah, I love building furniture, especially nature furniture. Like, I like building root leg tables or benches, and I like adding crystals and sacred geometry right into the bench. But yeah, the bench Dana was talking about, I built one, and I put the tree of life symbol right in the middle, and I put 4 big clear quartz crystals beside it, right embedded into the wood, so it's flush with the wood. So you thought that was pretty cool, Dana, then, that bench?
It was beautiful, beautiful. Yes, there's a couple of pieces I want you to make me, but we'll talk after the show.
Well, he does. For you guys that are tuning in, John is on his YouTube page. You have your furniture. I was checking out the nature furniture. Very cool idea. I don't know people that put crystals in furnitures and stuff. I totally want to use that. That's a really neat idea. So you can check out him actually building it on his channel.
Yeah, I just really wanted to build something totally different that no one's ever seen before. And it just kept coming to me to add sacred geometry and crystals to furniture. And then people could just sit on it and match the energy of the geometry and the crystals and just feel good. Because it'd be pretty neat if you could just have a chair that you could sit down on and just match the energy of it. You don't even have to do anything. You know what I mean? And it's pretty powerful. I've had people tell me that as soon as they sit down on it, they could feel it.
That's really makes me feel really I believe good. That for sure. I mean, if you can feel energy from a wand, why couldn't you feel it from furniture? I think that's really neat. It's something very unusual. I hope that sells well.
I can see the energy.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
You can see what?
I can see the energy of the furniture. You can see energy in anything that has matter. You can see the energy in it, and you can see the energy radiating from the bench. It's really beautiful. Good job, John. Good job.
Well,
thanks a lot, Dana. I appreciate it.
Dana, as a psychic, do wands and crystals help you with your readings, or do they just keep like interference from coming in? Do you not use them do they block you from reading?
Well, I use my crystal ball when I read. So my crystal ball is always beside me when I'm reading, and I actually do believe that it helps the communication, and I usually have it between me and the client. Or beside me, either way, but it really does help with the energy. And I actually hold on to crystals when I'm reading as well. Now, sometimes I think I just need something to fiddle with just to keep the left brain busy so the right brain can do what the right brain needs to do. But I hold it all the time. I love playing little games with crystals too. It's pretty amazing when you can show people the energy of crystals just by playing a game. And it's pretty amazing. If you want to hear about the game, I'll let you know.
Well, you can't tease us like that. What is this game you're talking about? Come on now. Can we play this game on air or what?
Want to hear? It's a cool game, and everybody can do it, and you can do it with the kids too. It's fun, and you can really teach kids the energy as well. So, my aunt and I were sitting there one winter day here in Ontario. It was probably freezing cold, and we had the Baileys and coffee going, and we were talking about metaphysics, and we were having a little bit of fun with it, and we just started. We took a little tiny quartz crystal, and what we did was we each took a turn, and we would put the crystal in one hand behind the back, and then we would hold our fists up, and we'd be able to see which hand the crystal was in. By the end of the day, we were 100 times out of 100 times right, because you could actually see the power in the hand, you could see the energy around the hand. And it just became really, really easy. So a good way of doing that is just with a partner, hold your fists up, and each of you study each other's color, shape, that kind of thing, the energy around it, and then take turns. Put the crystal behind your back, don't let them see, pick a hand, put it out, and then I want you to look at the hands and see if you can see the power, see if you can see the energy that's radiating off of it. Now, it might take a little bit of practice and what have you, but once you get it and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, and kids have a lot of fun with it as well, but it also shows the power of crystals. I actually will line up different kinds of crystals that have different modalities, and you can feel the energy of them as well. So I would get people to sort of guess the stone their hand is over. Don't touch it, just guess the color of the stone that your hand is over, because you understand how the energy of the stone is affecting your body, whether it runs down your neck or it tingles your head, or, there's a whole bunch of things that you can do. But it's a really good way to understand how the stones work and how we can work with the stones. So it's just a cool game. I've been doing it for years.
I totally want to try that.
Fun.
That'll be fun. We should do that.
It is.
I think we could probably. Would it work on air? Can people see the R if I hold two hands up to figure out which one it's in, or is it too hard to see through the camera?
Well, if you have the ability to see energy, then it should be pretty easy. I can see energy on film, I can see energy on camera, but not everybody can see energy, and it takes a little bit of practice. You could, if you practice, you'd be able to see it for sure.
Okay.
But not everybody can see it, but you can give it a try. It's left or right. You got a 50-50 chance, but it's more about just understanding how you see the energy when you're with a partner. So yeah, but it's pretty cool. Get a little tiny piece.
There's a
little tiny piece. That's all you need.
Thanks for the advice. There's some questions coming in for both of you guys. So you guys can answer this together. But Tracy LPN says, "What's the best crystals to have?" And Iron J Rod said, "Is there a particular crystal to absorb negative energy and get rid of it?" So maybe you guys could take those two questions and both answer it. Dana, you are the lady, so go ahead and start.
Okay, well, I'm not really a gem expert. I like to use them. I have them around me all the time. I wouldn't say that I'm qualified as probably John, because he seems to know a lot about stones and stuff. All I do is use them, and I trust the energy, and I buy the ones that I like. They do help. I think all stones help for different things and different occasions. And I think there is a black, I don't know what the stone is called. Maybe you know, John. I don't know what the obsidian maybe is what collects the dark energy or the negative energy.
Yeah, let's throw it over to John.
Sure.
John, if you know, because you're kind of a crystal expert, go ahead and take this.
So when it comes to which crystals are the best for you, what I would do, there's two things you can do. I would do some of your own research. What is your birthstone? What's the crystal that's aligned up with you for your birthday? Because that's important right there. And another thing you could do is find a metaphysical shop or a crystal store and go to it and feel crystals out. Because something's going to pop out at you. You might run your hands over the jars or the containers of crystals or stones and feel out which one feels the best for you. That's the best way I think of doing it, would be to match your birthday with a crystal or stone and also get the one that feels right for you. So everybody's different. And then as far as what stone is the best for getting rid of negative energy, I would say Shunga. So there's this particular stone called shungite. It's actually scientifically proven to zero out Wi-Fi signals. It's the only stone or crystal that is known to do that. There's actually Lloyd, that the guy that owns the store, he actually has about 10 of them around his computer. He never lets them off his computer. We've tested it with different devices to see it, and it does work. So I would highly suggest for people to look into shungite stones.
Shungite.
For sure.
I don't think I've ever even seen those. What do they look like?
No, I've never seen either.
Yeah, they're black. Lloyd has them. If you ask Lloyd Dana next time you're going, say, what kind of stones? Do you have stones around your computer? Take a look at his keyboard. You'll see about 10 little black stones. I'll show you what they look like.
Yeah, if you could have some, that'd be great. And
I've got so many crystals and stones. Hang on a second here. Sorry.
I do the same thing. I just feel them. I just run my hand over them, and the energy in my palm changes. The frequency changes. That's the stone that I'm supposed to buy.
I see it.
So basically, there's a fair amount of black stones out there. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're back. I think you lost your signal there for a sec, Dana. Go ahead.
So there's a fair amount of black stones out there. Now, the store will know what the shungite is to tell you. But if you really want to know what shungite is, this is the crazy thing. If you want, I can get it. I just have to take this off. But if you take an ohms meter or a multimeter that tests if something has energy to it or if there's power going to something, if you take an ohms meter and you touch shungite, it's the only stone that'll have a current. There's zero resistance in shungite. It'll literally light up an ohms meter. No crystal or stone will do it. I've done it to so many different crystals and stones now, and the only one that'll do it is shungite. And it'll light up a multimeter. It'll buzz it, which is bizarre. There's no other stone that'll do that. So that means that there's no resistance in this. So you touch one side to the other, it instantly takes a current. If I did that to a clear quartz crystal, it won't do anything. I've done videos on it. I've showed people what shungite does. It's pretty amazing that you can show it on a multimeter.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Amazing.
I've never even heard of that.
Do you want me to show you? If you
got time,
it's up to you. I have to go get it.
Well,
it's on the other side of this wall. I just got to go in my toolbox and get the meter.
Ahead.
So you guys can go ahead. Just give me 1 minute, okay?
I'll add 2 cents to this too. Now I'm not a crystal expert by any means, but I will say, each of them have their own frequencies, and you can think of it like playing a piano. There's certain chords that work good together, and there's certain ones that interfere and sound like crap. So if you have a big pile of crystals together, sometimes they short each other out. You kind of have to put the right pile together, so they don't. And the way to do that is kind of what Dana's saying. Like, go through and feel the ones that feel right and put them together, and then feel them again and see if that feels right. If you really calm your mind, close your eyes, and just hover your hands, you will feel a little energy or buzz off them. It's interesting. You can know where the stone is on a desk, if you close your eyes and move it around. Oh, Dana, you want to add 2 cents to this?
Oh, no, I think this is a great topic. It's, as I say, I'm not an expert on gems and stones and stuff, but I do use them and I do recommend them.
Excellent. Oh, I do want to do a quick, while we're waiting on John to come back, Gizmo Glass, thanks for following the channel. I really appreciate that. And I got a new subscriber to Twitch, which is a big deal. Yay! And that would be Funky Pickle. Thank you so much for subscribing. That means he's actually sponsoring the show at $5 a month. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me, looks like John's still getting ready here. And we'll add our 2 cents. So yeah, I would say if you're just beginning with crystals, honestly, just close your eyes, go to a store and start feeling around until something buzzes. All right. So we got an ohm meter here, right? John, tell us what's going on here. What does this thing do for people that don't know what it is?
So basically, this is a multimeter. So this will tell you if there's a current going through things, if there's any resistance, or if it's grounded. It just tells you basically if things have a current. So let's say if I were to take this clear quartz crystal. So basically, I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear it buzzing?
Yes.
When I touch? So that means that there's a current going through it every time I touch it. So watch, I'm going to touch a clear quartz crystal. Nothing. So there's There's resistance in there. So you can't put a current through this right now, okay? Here's a hematite stone. So it's like a magnetic stone. So I'll touch it. Nothing. It's not buzzing.
Wow.
Okay, I'll take this. A second here.
I would have thought hematite was magnetic, like it would have something, but surprising it doesn't.
It's magnetic, but if you can't get a current through it. See, I'm touching it. Watch.
Yeah.
Here, buzz. Nothing. Right now, here's a shungite stone. Watch this. I touch here on the far side of it. Hear it buzzing?
Wow.
Hear it? I don't know
Yeah,
if you
we
can
can
hear
hear
that.
it.
It's
That's
pretty
really
faint.
cool. I'm just listening.
It's crazy, and that's a stone. And it's going right through it. It's mind blowing. It's the only stone that'll do it. I've tried it on everything. I've got so many crystals and different stones from around the world, okay? And I can't get any of them to do it but shungite.
So
what does that mean, John?
yeah, does that mean it filters currencies, or what does it do? It
filters currents. It's exactly what it does. It's the only stone that's scientifically proven to filter currents from the air. If you research it, there's amazing YouTube videos that show scientists showing what it does.
Now, how expensive are those stones? Are they hard to get? I don't know anything about that stone.
Very cheap. They're very, very cheap, and they only come from one part of the world. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it's called, but it comes from this one riverbed. But there's a lot of it. They found an awful lot of it from this riverbed, so it's pretty abundant. It's not that much money. I think a little stone like this was maybe $4.
Oh, okay.
The store that me and Dana go to has these. I've seen them at almost every single metaphysical store.
Well, now I'm fascinated with them. Fascinating.
It's mind blowing, especially if you were to take an EMF reader, go up to your computer while it's doing its thing. You'll see every 15 seconds you'll see it spike because your computer goes through like a revolution of times where it's sending out signals and back and forth. So if you put the meter up to it, you'll see it spike. Yeah, it's constantly back and forth sending signals, right? If you put shungite up beside it, it's crazy. It'll literally stop the EMF reader. It stops it.
Now,
it zeroes it out. It's crazy.
Will it screw up Wi-Fi in your house? Like, will it make your Wi-Fi signal real bad?
You know, that part I'm not sure about. All I know is that if you put shungite stones around your Wi-Fi modem, it's not. When you put your an EMF reader up to it, it's not spiking no more. Now, if that affects your signal to your cell phone, that I don't know yet. It's a good question, good idea. I never even thought of it, to be honest with you. No, never even thought of it.
Yeah, just curious.
There's another video for you, John.
There you go. Start playing with the Wi-Fi and see if it screws up your signal in the next room. Like, get a phone or a computer and be like, can I get a signal? And then I'm going to put a bunch of stones around it and see if you can't get a signal. It'd be an interesting test.
Yeah, it would be. I'm going to definitely do it. Sure.
All right. Dana, do you have anything you want to add to that before we move topics?
I just don't have anything.
Have you ever used Ormus, Dana?
I have. I do. Yes.
What is your experience on it?
Have. Oh no, actually, I'm waiting for John. I've talked to John lots about it, but I haven't actually taken it. I've been waiting for John to give me my elixir, and but I'll tell you all about it after I take it for a while.
All right. Well, I'm just curious because John says it helps connect him with his higher spiritual self, which is something I'm always looking for because I feel like I'm constantly blocked unless I'm eating perfect or like fasting. So it's cool to think that maybe I kind of want to try it to see what it's like. But Tracy in the chat was saying that it's hard to buy. Like have you guys ever bought it before or
I've never bought it.
Yeah, like I didn't know if you could order it online or not. Or John's saying to make it that it's pretty cheap, but some of the ingredients are tough to get. So I'm not sure. when he's talking about?
That's the issue. Is some of the ingredients are hard to get. Like I know in my area where I can get it all, but
how do you
town
bottle
for town,
it?
It's hard to say.
How do you bottle it? Get it out to everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna just have to start making big batches of it.
Exactly.
Because I've always just made it for myself and a few people, and mostly for my fish and my plants. Because I tested on fish and plants, and I actually have a fish test going for I guess it would be almost 11 months now. And this one fish that I started from the beginning using Ormus is still living. And I've went through the other fish 3 separate times now.
Really?
Same fish is still going.
I'm confused what you mean. So it extended its life, the fish's life, 3 times longer than his ones living in the same tank?
Yeah, so basically I took 4 separate tanks. I did one tank where I put bottled water. Another tank I did restructured water. That's another thing. I make water restructuring devices. Some I haven't talked about yet with you, but so basically the other tank was restructured water. The other tank was restructured water and with Ormus, and the other one was just a bunch. Basically, I end up now the test is one solid tank. I put a divider wall down the middle. One side of the tank now has 2 fish in it, and I use bottled water and normal food. On the other side of the tank, what I did was, I'll show you. I don't have it plugged in because I got too many things plugged in. But so basically, this here is a grounding wire. So if you look at it, these 2 plastic prongs are your power and neutral. The third prong on a 3-plug prong plug-in is always your ground, the top round one. So I can get these plugs, and it's just putting a grounding current right now. So what I did was I plugged this into the wall. I put this wire into the fish tank. So now I have grounded water for a fish tank. Because I'm really curious, what's the effects of grounding water compared to not grounding it? Because this water right now is not touching Mother Earth. So it's not getting the frequency from Mother Earth. I did the same thing with plants. I'll kind of show you. I don't know how well you can see it, but you see these wires? These wires are hooked up to a grounding outlet right now. So I have plants that I actually have a grounding wire right into this wheatgrass to see what the difference between not grounding it and grounding it, and also giving some Ormus and some without. Because I'm just fascinated with grounding yourself. Because I know there's a lot of healing abilities. It's healed me right up. So what would it do to fish and plants? You know, because they're not touching the ground right now.
And
so what you...
Oh, John, I just want to jump in for a sec. For you guys listening that don't know what grounding or earthing is, it is basically that, you know, you're supposed to touch the earth. And as we developed, you're supposed to walk and pull. You need electrons, free electrons, to move in and out of your body. And by putting like rubber-soled shoes on and by living on the 3rd floor of a building, you never touch the ground anymore. Especially, you know, you guys are Canadian. You probably don't go out in the winter and put your feet in the ground, you know. So you have to kind of borrow the ground by sticking rods and wires into it to get it to come up. Now, John, I've seen some interesting research where they've used earthing to help plants grow really hot. Like they'll take a potted plant and then run a wire into it like you're doing. And you're saying it's for real, that it definitely works in your plants. Absolutely.
I've done plant studies in the past, and I've noticed a big difference in growing. So like if you were to have, say, like if you were to have a greenhouse and the plants were off the ground on tables, because that's how some people do it. They'll do it on tables. The problem is it's not touching the ground. So if you were to take a wire, say 3 or 4 feet, a copper rod down into the ground, take a copper wire, put it into the trays, now the plants are being grounded. But another cool thing to think about is I've watched many studies now on grounding, and the biggest thing I find for grounding that's healing for you is it takes out inflammation out of the system. So if you don't ground yourself for a long period of time, it'll naturally develop inflammation in your system.
Yeah, and
it's really interesting. I'm
going to bring it back to ground zero here for a sec. Guys, you guys remember that you conduct electricity, and all your cells run on electricity, and they need free electrons to pass back and forth on their valences. They're little orbits on atoms. They need to pass these things around, although they can run without a proper amount of electrons, it does make the cell sick, and it's even proposed that some forms of cancer are because there's not enough electrons on these valences, that you just don't have enough. The normal way we would have got them is to walk around and borrow them from the earth. We would charge ourselves up, and you guys know that you conduct electricity. Like, when you were a little kid, you could drag your feet across the carpet and sneak up to your brother and zap him, right? Like, you conduct electricity from the ground out. Well, the problem is because we have rubber-soled shoes and we grow up never touching the floors, or you're in a building that, has a bunch of insulation and rubber, that electricity no longer exchanges. So you have to get electricity by eating. You eat electrical foods, and the foods aren't that good anymore. So we're chronically sick and not charged up like we should. So there's a big movement going on called earthing or grounding, where you're trying to throw your shoes off and walk around the dirt, or spend 30 minutes laying out in the dirt. And for us living up north, we can't really do that. We have to borrow. We kind of have to. I have like an earthing sheet. It is a wire that's attached to a sheet, and when I sleep on it, it does bring the inflammation down, and it helps you sleep some. As far as I can tell, there's a lot of really good science. It's not just like pseudoscience. They're doing a lot of studies on this right now. And the way it brings inflammation down is because these cells are getting the proper amount of electrons. It's kind of like vitamin E. It's a different kind of vitamin E, vitamin electron. You need so many free radical electrons to keep you healthy. And there's different kinds. There's kinds that damage you and give you cancer, and there's kinds that your cells pass around and do good things with. It depends on where it is. So that's my 2 cents. Oh, Tracy LPN, thanks for the follow. My cat says thank you. So that depends on where it is. So I'm going to pass this back to you and Dana. And Dana, you've been quiet. Why don't you give us 2 cents on grounding? Because you kind of use grounding in different ways, right?
Well, I do grounding. I have to do a grounding sense for myself. Anytime I'm sitting down to do a reading, I have to get into the space where I can open up all the channels and so on and so forth. So I'm always putting my roots and my energy into the ground, even through the floor, through the basement, through the rock, through the shale, through all of everything, just to get as low as I can in my energy. That's sort of how I do it. It's almost like I'm growing tree roots out of the bottom of my feet, and it just goes deep as I can get it. And I just sit there for a little while in it. Your feet feel heavy. You get that sense of relaxation. You can do this anywhere. And I always think this is such a good thing to do. I do it a couple of times a day, just depending on the day, especially when, you've got a stressful day or a lot going on. Great to just take 5 minutes out and do a little bit of grounding and let your energy grow into the ground. So that's sort of how I do it. I think also too, again, with the plants, John, do you think sound frequency can help them as well? I've been hearing a lot about sound frequency, and I find that really fascinating. So all of the sound, I can feel it when you're doing a singing bowl. You can feel it in your cells sort of, charge up, and this electrical flow goes through you anytime I'm hearing those singing bowls. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dana. I believe that frequencies is a big deal. One thing I've always wanted to get my hands on is a frequency generator. So there's a dial, and you can actually adjust it from 432 hertz all the way up to 910 or whatever it is. There's people out there that have them, and I've watched them use it on plants, where they would take a greenhouse, and the whole greenhouse would be pumping with 528 hertz, which is the resonance of the planet, and another greenhouse didn't have anything. The greenhouse that was pumping with the frequencies, everything was way bigger, grew more lush, bigger, thicker leaves. And there's another guy in Italy. There's a really good video. If you go on YouTube, it's put in Italy wine gardens. Okay, there's a guy that has a whole corner of his field, and he's constantly playing Beethoven, Mozart, all amazing
I've seen that video.
high energy music. And the grapes are 3 or 4 times bigger on that side of the field than the side of the field that doesn't have any music playing on it. And it's just music. Yeah, yep. It's really fascinating. I don't know if anybody's seen that video, but it is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Jim So Glass says it's Dr. Hutchins. I don't know if is that the video.
That's right. That's right. I couldn't remember what his name was, but that's right. Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing to me. I think frequency has a lot to do with it. It's just like the Wi-Fi signals. They're pumping out a very subtle frequency. Only usually highly sensitive people can feel it. But everything is putting out energy. Yeah, you can. I know Dana can. I can feel it. And, you know, that's why the wands work so well for us, because we're matching that energy of the wand. And innately at a higher level, we know we're doing this. And all we're doing is just matching that energy signature so we can filter out the negative vibes around us. You know?
There's some comments going on where people are talking about singing to their plants. And I was talking about us saying that you have to sing to your plants. You know, they need love. And they're like, what? Now talking's not good enough? I got to sing to my plants, you know? Yeah, man.
Well, it's the frequency. You put out a frequency when you sing.
I love frequency.
You raise the hertz of the room when you sing. So it's just like when that guy plays Beethoven for his grapes. If you sing to your plants, I think it could have a huge difference on the taste of the food, how big it grows, the nutrients and vitamins. There's actually a lot of good documentation on that, where they'll play really calm, soothing music. And after the plant grows, they'll test what's in the plant, and they'll test plants that didn't have anything, and they'll have more minerals in it, more vitamins. It's pretty crazy. Science is really coming along with plants, big time.
John,
I just annoy people when I'm singing.
John, there's a question coming in for you about what are his thoughts on the Schumann Residence? We've had a lot of shows about the Schumann Residence. Where are you at on that?
I heard of it. I never did too much research on it, but I'm right into frequencies and energy, and I know that that's something to do with the hertz of the planet. I don't know enough about it to speak about it. I know a little bit about it, but not enough to really speak about it. But it's very interesting stuff. Very interesting.
Lava Girl in the chat says, "Sing to your plants; it won't hurts them," and she spells it Hertz.
Nice.
It's a good one. It's a good one. All right.
That's a good one.
Dana, what about you? You know about the Schumann Residence and what's going on. What's your psychic vibe on that recently? Because it's been going up and down again. It was quiet for a while, but now it's starting to get a little nutty lately. I've noticed that people are starting to act weird again. So help me out.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. When the Schumann Residence is high, I'm really busy. When it's lower, I tend to kind of die down a little bit when it comes to appointments. So I find it interesting that when I watch that, it correlates with people feeling high stress, feeling like they need answers, feeling like, and for some reason, I feel like so many people this year especially are really dealing with anxieties and depression. I'm getting a lot of people coming my way. And I find that, you know, once we have that conversation about what it is and what's really truly going on and getting to the depth of it, they seem to feel better and be able to release it. But I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with everybody feeling that, the entropy just going up and everybody feeling that, and it triggers it in you. All of a sudden you're feeling this energy and you know something doesn't feel right. So now all of a sudden you have to create something in your world that doesn't feel right. And then we start kind of, you know, making stories about this, that, and the other. So I think it's really important to be aware of how we're feeling. And if we're starting to feel that anxiety and depression, really look around in your world. Am I okay right now? Is everything okay? Do I need anything? Is there anything missing? How am I feeling? And really get to the nitty gritty of it without feeling everybody's energy. So, you know, I find it correlates. I find it really interesting that it does this. But yeah, that Schumann Residence, I don't know. It's almost a way for the world to psychically predict what's going to be happening. And I think it has a lot to do with agreement. So if people are agreeing that it's this, that, and the other, I believe it raises the entropy or lowers the entropy. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's getting on a different topic, but I think it's about agreement. And you're agreeing with your neighbors or you're not. You're raising the energy by doing that. That's what I think it is.
I think, yeah, man, we've had a lot of talk on this in shows, and there's different theories. Some people say it's the actual Earth that is frequency, its frequency. And I had done a model where I used a plasma ball, where if you have one sphere inside another sphere, it creates a difference, and that's what the Schumann resonance is. But then a lot of us think that really that it's the collective consciousness that is making the Earth vibrate. It's the other way around. That it's our consciousness and the Earth's just vibrating back. So I'm not sure where I go on that. Both theories sound really good. Is it the Earth or is it the collective consciousness?
But Taryn, does it make sense that it has to the Earth and people and consciousness are all connected in one? We can't have an Earth without consciousness. It'd just be a dark rock floating around. But it feels to me that it is the consciousness of everybody. And that's why, remember they said when 9/11 happened, it was an hour before the Schumann Residence went up. Well, how would the Earth kind of know that this was going to be happening? I think our consciousness would be able to pick it up long before, the Earth itself were to do that. I truly think it's people. That are creating this energy.
I'm not settled either way. I'm not sure what it is, but that's a good point. I mean, if it changes before like evil happens or good happens, maybe that is the Earth that's vibrating it back. But I'm also a believer, like, you guys are playing with crystals and doing stuff. Everything has a spirit, and the Earth itself, as a chunk of balls and metal or whatever the hell it is, has its own frequency and spirit. And so I do believe that it can age, it can change, it can go through frequencies like other things, but I like the idea of the consciousness more, because I feel that I do know this. What I will say is real is that we are affected by the vibration of whatever's going on, because when the Schumann resonance goes up, people start losing their mind in Discord and chat, and people act weird. Like, we were having a conversation this week, and there seemed to be my theory. I was like one of the first people to really talk about this, that I feel that the frequencies are coming up and they're starting to match the chakra vibrations, and I feel like maybe we hit the sexual one or the base one, because people are saying they felt very primal last week, like their sex drives are going up, or they're very, very hormonal, emotional, like that kind of thing. And so it makes me wonder if the consciousness is doing that and maybe the Earth's reflecting it, or vice versa. Let me show you something. I wear a Q-Link. I've worn this thing for years, and the way this thing works is all it does is bounce back a frequency. When my body hits a healthy frequency that thing's set for, it continues to vibrate and send that frequency back in. So it's just borrowing my frequency and keeping that higher frequency up. It's like if you had two tuning forks. If I had two tuning forks and I hit one that was one frequency and another that was another frequency, this one could cause this one to shake. I believe that's the same thing that we're experiencing with the Schumann resonance, that if my chakra is set at a certain frequency and the Schumann resonance hits that frequency, I shake, and it makes us primal, or whatever that chakra is. Maybe if it's a spiritual one, everybody wakes up. I don't know. Maybe that's coming. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Go ahead, guys.
Well, I'll find it interesting sometimes when I'm just, doing what I'm doing, puttering around, and then all of a sudden I feel my whole entire body and energy shift. It's almost like I'm going through Jello or something. It's like I'm walking through a wall of Jello. And, for a while I was thinking, oh, is this something physical happening to me or something like that? But of course, I do my meditation and look into it. And it's something on a metaphysical level that's happening to my energy. So whatever it's this energy shift that kind of happens. So you almost get wobbly. You almost feel like you're spinning in a way, or you feel like you've got something on you. Your energy shifts. You feel like you're all of a sudden not stable where you are. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but that's an experience that I have from time to time. And I think it has something to do with that frequency as well, the Schumann frequency. I think I can feel those frequencies.
Yeah, Vicky has an interesting take on this in chat. She says the new generation doesn't want to marry and have children. It seems the extra primal energy is needed. maybe the planet's responding, or the collective consciousness is like, hey guys, go, you know, go do some loving. So maybe that's a really interesting thing. It is that people are having less and less children. Maybe the
For sure they are.
consciousness is like.
Another thing
Go
to
ahead,
add
John,
to
jump
that,
in.
kind of,
Yeah, go ahead.
is bizarre is that we have record numbers of transsexuals and transvestites right now than ever.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
just something I want to add to that. 'Cause you're talking about the libido and this primal thing happening, and you know everybody's feeling this. But where I'm confused is where all these people coming from. Just all of a sudden, the last like year or so, that's all we hear about now.
Well,
I got nothing against them. It's just bizarre because we're going through all these shifts.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, just so many people are coming out like that than ever before. I don't
What do you
know
think?
if it's because humanity's more accepting of it, so people are feeling okay doing it, or is it an actual shift in the energy, and this is just what's happening to people?
Is this
I think it's a
like,
bit of
since
both.
we're evolving and adjusting, does gender start to disappear as we get more and more enlightened? That would be an
So
interesting
that's what
concept.
it could be. It could be a gender issue, because if you're an understander, let's say if you believe or understand that you've lived before, if you have past lives, so what if you've lived as a male and female many times, and in this lifetime all the lifetimes are coming together because of the shift? So people might be having a bit of an identity crisis because they're picking up things from the past and not really consciously realizing it. But I think that's what another problem is that maybe you played a boy too many times, not a girl. It could be so many different things, you know.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I never thought. These are some great points. I never thought about that.
And it kind of makes sense, really, if you think about it. It makes sense.
Lava Girl in the chat says Huggies just laid off 5,000 workers because people are not having babies. Well, yeah, totally agree with John. They said. So John, you got some fans in the chat there agreeing with you. That's a fascinating concept. I never even thought of that. But okay, let's take ourselves out. Our purest form, some people say, is like an energetic form, that people will leave their physical bodies and go into energy one day. So maybe gender's not as important as, maybe that's part of the transformation. Like, is there no gender on the other side as energy? I guess there wouldn't be, you know. But I feel like
think
there's
we
male
hold
and
both.
female energy, though. So I don't know.
Absolutely. I think we hold both female and male energy. I think that's something that we innately do with just being born. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think one of the goals for, if you want to call it ascension, is bringing your male and female aspects as one. That's one of the real goals. If you listen to any real deep spiritual teacher, that's what they'll tell you. That one of the main goals of coming here right now is bridging those two together. So I think a lot of people are having this identity crisis because of that, because no one's really understanding what they're going through. Nobody really is, you know. No, nobody really knows. I think if we knew, there would be no reason for us to be here, because we're not learning anything. So I think we're supposed to be in the unknown right now. You know, because that's the greatest learning experience, is to be in the unknown.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about, every experience, bad or good, creates energy. And that we're building energy. And that energy can't be contained. It raises the vibration if you like it or not. It's going to just massively push until it becomes some other state. Or many people feel that this reality this happens every time. That the process is, you start out with no knowledge, you gain knowledge, you experience everything, you make new experiences, and then you eventually wake up and realize, oh, I'm in a big game. That's what it's for. Let's start over. And we roll, we blank our knowledge out and go back in. So it's, who knows? I don't know what Dana feels on that.
Oh, I totally feel like that's what it is. I think that's pretty amazing, and a good way of saying it as well. I do think we're here to learn things and experience, and I think we're supposed to experience it in male and female ways. I think if we don't have the comparison, how do we ever really evolve if we don't understand the contrast of it? Rich, poor, sick, healthy. If we don't have the contrast, we don't have the lesson. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Dana. It's exactly what I think too.
Yeah, you Canadians
This
all
is an
think alike.
interesting conversation. And now I'm contemplating. I'm looking around, thinking, boy,
What's going on
I
in
always
Canada
find
up there? All you guys think alike.
I'll
Is
tell
that
you,
true?
it's pretty cold. Hey, Dana?
What?
It's pretty cold and snowy. That's one thing I can say.
No, in all seriousness, though, we do have a lot of Canadian viewers. I get a lot, and they're all like super high vibe people. So something's going on up in Canada. I don't know what's in the water up there, but you got something going on.
Do you think that?
Want me to tell you?
I really do. Go ahead.
Canada's an
Want
awesome.
me to tell you
place to live.
briefly?
Yeah. To take your, you don't have to be brief. Go into it.
Can I tell you briefly what my opinion is of why Canadians are the way they are?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me? I don't know if it cut out. One big thing to think about, okay? Every land mass has energy behind it, okay? USA, whatever, okay? There's been a fair amount of wars on USA soil. There's been a fair amount of wars on almost every single country's soil out there, whether it been government wars or religious wars from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. There's never been a war on Canadian soil. So Canadian soil, not like Civil War,
Not like a world
there's
war,
never
but
been a country invade Canada. Think about
Sure.
it. So we've never had, well, we've had settlers come here, and maybe they didn't treat Native Indians proper. That is, you're right about that, okay? But what I'm saying is there was no major catastrophe war that's really ever happened here. So Canada is like fresh land. It's like fresh, energetic land. You know, that's why in every war we would be the peacekeepers, because it's almost like you take countries like Canada, Sweden, Switzerland, it seems to be a lot of very positive, high-vibing, enlightening people seem to gravitate towards those countries. If you look at it, like if you really look at it, you'll notice that. And I really feel it's because Canada doesn't have that lingering war energy, the death war energy, other than whatever happened to the Native Indians. That's just my opinion.
And maybe because the natives are so evolved, they've been able to filter through the negativity, and maybe that assists as well, just because, you know, the nation is evolved and they are very spiritual. And I know a lot of native people, and I think they understood how to do it right when they were being attacked. So maybe you're right, John. That would make a lot of sense.
It's a really good point.
Absolutely.
Like if you had a violence meter for each countries of how many people, you know, who they attack and who they get killed and who dies in that country, the U.S. would be the top practically. We're one of the most violent countries. We bomb everybody and police everybody. It's bad. Where Canada, New Zealand, you know, you guys have always been peaceful guys. You know, those kind of countries that stay the hell out of everybody's business. So yeah, there's going to be some violence, but I would think that maybe just if you could, there's no place that's escaped violence and death, but there's definitely a lot less amounts of it. And maybe the good outweighs the bad. It's a great theory. I love your theory.
Yeah, it's just you just got to look at it from an energy standpoint. If you look at everything energetically, then you can kind of see what I mean. You got to look outside of 3D reality. You got to like pretend you're looking over the planet Earth, and you imagine, okay, this country's caused a lot of turmoil, whether it be religion or government war, or this country's done this. But if you stand back and look at the countries that are always the peacekeepers, you'll find a lot of very enlightening, positive, loving people. Yeah, that's what I see anyways. But
yeah, you guys.
So everybody can come to Canada.
That's what everybody keeps telling me, to move to Canada. Move to Canada. I've never actually been there except to go skiing for like 10 minutes. So I do need to take a trip up in one of these days and drive through and see it.
It is some cold today, let me tell you.
I know I
cannot stand the cold.
Most of my favorite shows are from Canada. I don't know what you guys got going on. I think it's in BC that like everything on sci-fi is made in Canada. Like Battlestar Galactica, Andromeda, you know, anything that's like any sort of sci-fi, and it's always the same actors sneak into it. What's going on with Canada up there? That's it.
We just got it going on.
I guess so.
Just got it going on.
That's pretty cool, John. That's really interesting.
Good analogy.
But I I do honestly think that some towns have very bad energy. Like Savannah was a kind of a cool town. I lived in Savannah, Georgia, which is one of the oldest towns in the U.S. and the world's most haunted town. That there's more ghost sightings there and more reports than anywhere in the world. And the graveyards are so big in Savannah that they just had to pave over them and make them into roads. So like you're literally driving and walking around dead people all the time on top of dead people. So Savannah's a real deal. It really is haunted. It's legit. Now, are they angry haunted or happy haunted? I don't know, but I do believe that there's.
I don't know if you're haunting. I don't think it's possible to stay happy if
you
you're
don't think that some people like
ghost.
cross back over here to hang out with their relatives or do something positive? You think all ghosts are like evil and bad?
No, I actually believe if they're coming back for a drop-in and to say hello and to visit their loved ones, I think they're wonderful and great to have around. But if they're grounded and can't cross over, I actually believe they get angry as time goes on. I think it ends up turning into violence and they sort of maybe lose their marbles in a way. I don't know if this is obviously accurate or not, but anytime you're hearing of like a real intense haunting, they're always very violent. But I can't say that they've always been violent. I think that if they're stuck in that sort of limbo state, it turns them crazy, even as a ghost. So that's why they came there, and that's why they shouldn't be there. So I think that's a difference. There is a different feel from going into a haunted house and dealing with a grounded ghost as opposed to dealing with a spirit coming through with a message. They have a completely different feel about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was curious about that because I know they kind of say that if you that some of them, the evil mean ghosts were jerks or evil in the life and they're just jerks in the afterlife, where you're saying that they just get trapped here and they start nice, but sometimes it drives them mad that they can't move on. If I was trapped somewhere for 300 or 400 years that I couldn't communicate or do anything, I think I'd probably lose my crap too,
Absolutely. And it makes complete sense. And when you're in that haunting, you're in your house living your existence as if you felt like you were doing it every day. Sometimes I wonder if these ghosts even know that they're passed on. I think sometimes they lose sense of that in some way too. And that's why they're still grounded in the situation of where they died in. And I think over time it would make you nuts. It would make you crazy for sure. So make sure that we're clear of our souls so we can cross over gracefully when our time comes.
Can you attract good spirits and energy, or is it dangerous to do that, Dana? Like, can you say, hey, I would love to be dropped in by my old relatives or beneficial ghosts or whatever, or are you just inviting bad things to come in?
Well, you want to, the best communication you want to have with your loved ones is a telepathic communication. That's the best conversations to have with people who have crossed over. And really understanding how the telepathy comes your way. So you got to think of it this way. If your relatives are going to talk to you or they want to speak to you, they're going to come through your thought voice initially. So it's going to sound like your thought process, your thought voice, and you're going to feel like it's you actually talking to yourself. And that's why we dismiss it. That's why we don't carry it on. But think about it this way. They do it that way because if you all of a sudden started hearing a male's voice or somebody else's voice in your head, that's going to make you a little loopy too. So really what they want to do is they want to ease you into the communication with people from the other side. And what happens is it starts turning over. Initially it's your thought voice, but then all of a sudden when you're talking to the people who are on the other side, you're starting to hear their accolades. You'll hear maybe more of their voice or your voice and their voice kind of mixed together. So that's the best way to talk to people, or even invite them into your dreams. That's always a good way as well. It's safe, it's sound, and you can actually have a two-way conversation with them. Sometimes it's telepathic too, but when it comes to conjuring up things, that's opening a doorway. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're messing with things that you shouldn't be messing with. So, and it causes other problems because once you actually get a ghost that finds they match your frequency, very hard to get rid of them. So, and it's very hard to get rid of hauntings in houses as well. They don't want to go anywhere. They want you to go. You're haunting them. They want you to go. So to have one medium come in and do a clearing or a smudge one time likely isn't going to work, you know, so because you need to convince them they're not supposed to be there. And they've been there sometimes for 100 years, 200 years. So they're not going to be just packing up and heading on their way just because you tell them to. So I would suggest not to be doing the Ouija board or the angel boards or the communication things without really understanding what you're doing. So that's just my piece on it.
John, what about you? Got 2 cents on this?
Yeah, no, I agree with Dana. I think for you to start calling in energies or spirits, whatever you want to call it, you should really kind of know what you're doing or get help with it at first. Get someone that's already done it and they can help facilitate you so you can feel the energy. Because like I noticed that if a negative being comes in, the energy will be very heavy and you won't feel right. It'll usually cold. And if a higher energy being comes in, it's usually you feel really good. You feel enlightened, like, oh, wow, like you get a good idea or something. And another really good way, like Dane was saying, if you know what you're doing and you practice using a pendulum. I have an awful lot of success with pendulums, and I carve out boards. I'll show you what one looks like. So what I call this is a wisdom board. So basically, it's got yes, no, good, bad. It's got numbers and letters, and you just kind of hold your pendulum over top of it. I use it almost every day. But like Dana says, though, you should really kind of know what you're doing before doing it, because it's almost like a Ouija board, but it's not. It's different than a Ouija board. There's a lot of bias against Ouija boards. I think that's why there's so much built up negative energy behind it.
Bias.
Yeah, just a lot of people are biased against it. I don't have a problem with Ouija boards. I can use them and I never have nothing happen because I know what I'm doing and I put my energy out properly and I make sure I prepare myself and ground myself before I dare do something like that, where a lot of people will just jump into it and not mentally prepare for it, and you don't know what you're going to bring in. Where if you build your energy up and you have strong intent, you know what you're doing, you can bring on whatever entity you want. But if you leave it open, you don't know what you're bringing in. So that's a little scary. You think about it.
John, can you hold that board up again for a sec? Put it right in the center there. Oh, the camera got it.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you basically made your own kind of wisdom board. I got it. Cool.
I just call it a wisdom board. That's just what came to me because you can get great wisdom out of it. You really can. I mean, anywhere from like I've lost my car keys and it told me where my car keys were. Should I go out and buy this today? I don't know if I have enough money. Is it going to serve me? Is it okay if I do this today? And it'll answer me, and it's always accurate. I mean, I think pendulums can be very beneficial for people that can't quite read an energy yet. It's a good tool to use to see where you're at, because you can use it to see, am I feeling this out correctly? You know what I mean? It's a good tool basically to help you get going into this stuff. I feel.
I've got a question.
I know that I put a post out on my Curious Psychic group asking if anybody would actually use the Ouija board. And I think I got one person out of however many said yes, they would. But everybody was like, no way, no how. But the problem is that I think when people want to play the game, they truly think of it as a game, or they come home from the bar and they're all drunk and decide that they want to go ahead and invoke the dead. And what are you going to bring when you're using it as just a fun tool? They need to take it seriously, and they need to call upon the people that I've used the Ouija board and I haven't had anything happening negative either, but I'm always calling on the highest spirits. I want the best information, the highest spirits. And if I ever felt like I wasn't getting that, I would shut it down. So it's very important on who you call to and who you would like to communicate with. But boards are a great tool, and pendulums are a great tool as well.
Yeah, so, I think it's interesting if you actually read the history of the Ouija board, that it kind of got a really bad rap because of Hollywood and movies, but it was a a pretty common standard spiritual tool back in the day. It's just now,
Absolutely.
people. It's just like the news. You always hear the worst case scenario. You don't hear the good stuff. So, but still show a little caution and be smart about it. There's questions
Yeah,
coming in.
sure.
Miss Waffle says, Dana, a good way to what's a good way to get rid of anxiety that comes with a lot of directed negative energy sent to an empath?
You mean like when you're being psychically attacked, I'm assuming. So the energy coming towards you, and really it is like a psychic attack. Again, we can deflect the energy because of who we are, know who you are, stand for what you believe in, be a good person no matter what. And anytime that negativity is coming towards you, 90%, 99% of the time, it's about that other person. So anytime I'm being psychically attacked, and I can feel it, it doesn't happen all the time, but there's certain times out there that I've certainly felt it coming my way. I actually just deflect it right back.
Oh, did we lose some people here? Hello? Hello? Ah, geez, hold on. I think we lost some people. No. Oh, John. I think John dropped out. And I lost Dana too. Let me get them back, guys. Oh, the joy of live streaming. Let me see if I can get them back. I hope they're watching. I'm calling you guys right now. Hold on. Let's see if I can get John in here first. The ghost took them out. They're like, no, don't talk about Ouijas. All right, so John's having problems. Let me try Dana. Maybe she's still there. Dana. John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hold on. You crashed our stream. Let me get Dana back. The joy of modern technology. The ghosts don't want you talking about this stuff. All right, hold on.
No.
Let's see if I can get her. I hope she's still
Me
here.
and Dana have had experiences like when we bring stuff like this up, and everything would crash. Ask Dana; she'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, the ghosts don't want to talk about this stuff.
No.
Oh, there she is. Dana, you something from outside to shut y'all down. So that was not on my end.
Oh, really? Isn't that interesting?
John says that you guys have a history of getting your calls shut down.
Well, you know what? I find it really interesting when that kind of thing happens. But, I wonder, because I feel like I'm giving valuable information. So why would it shut down at that time? I don't quite understand that. But, technology, as long as it works, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely. You were talking about how to deal with. It's because many people that watch this show are empaths. Like I'm an empath. All of us pretty much that watch this thing are. And that people that, trolls, haters, people that psychically attack you, whatever you want to say, we seem to feel it more. So how do you deal with it?
So what did you hear? Did you hear anything or did we...
We got the first 30 seconds of it.
First 30 seconds. So I always say that anytime we're being psychically attacked, I usually surround myself in a blue silver light. That's my energy. You want to be strong, knowing who you are, knowing where you stand, knowing what your belief and your moral compass is, and then you deflect what it is back to that person, because 99% of the time it is not your problem. It's not even about you. When people are insulting you, when people are opinionated or telling you certain things, and actually I kind of wanted to talk about this because apparently there was a bunch of people telling me I was in bed with the devil. All of these things that are just so far from the truth and old-fashioned thinking. And in a way, that's an attack as well. But me being in who I am and where my moral compass is, I believe in God. I believe in the Creator. I believe I am in communication with God. So this is something that I hold dear to my heart, and it's very personal to me. But people have their opinions about it. So I just allow them to be in their opinions. It is their opinions, but it doesn't affect me because I know now what I'm supposed to do to deflect that. And that's just sending it right back to them. Sometimes I'll send angels back to them, but I don't actually participate and start the fight. I don't want that at all. So I just sort of allow them to be where it is, and that's how I deal with it. There's not much you can do when you're going to have haters. Not everybody is going to like you, and not everybody is going to think the way you do, and that's totally okay. But you can keep your opinions to yourself, as far as I'm concerned. When it becomes to other people, it doesn't need to be shared. It doesn't need to be, when you're judging other people, you're only actually judging yourself. So that's something I realize in the emotional state of mind, but I also stay very compassionate with it too. And I realize people sometimes just need that to create drama in the world for whatever reason. So I don't know. Again, just surround yourself in blue silver light and deflect the energy, be that mirror, and stay strong and true to who you are. That's my opinion.
Do you want to add anything to that, John? Can John hear us? John?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to add anything?
Can I give you a quick trick?
Sure.
Yeah. So a quick trick that I learned years ago that it will work for you if you feel anxiety coming on, because sometimes it's hard to distinguish whether it's your anxiety from your thoughts, the anxiety from food, from a chemical hormonal imbalance, or is it actually a psychic attack? So that's the thing. You got to ask yourself, where's this anxiety coming from? Is it your anxiety? Is it someone else's? So if you end up determining that it's someone else's energy that they're shooting to you, whether it's aware or unaware, what I do is I put a bunch of mirrors around me. So what I picture is I stand there in white light, and all of a sudden these massive mirrors come shooting down in front of me. And then what I do with the intent is I give an opportunity for the psychic vampire to feel what he's doing to me. So now he has an opportunity to know what he's doing. Usually that'll instantly reflect it, and they won't want to do it because they're going to feel the impact back. But you want to do it in a very loving, positive way, because you don't want to affect anybody. You don't want to fight fire with fire. You want to fight fire with high energy. You know what I mean? So when you put the mirrors down, your intent is that I'm going to reflect this energy back to this person in love and light, so they have the opportunity to see what they're doing in the most positive way. Because it's all about being of service to everybody. Right. So I find if you do the mirror trick out of service, to just give them a little hint about what they're doing. You know what I mean? But then again, they might not know it either. So that's a tough one, I find.
And it's not up to you to teach it or inflict it on them. It's more just to let it be back in their court, and they can do whatever they will with it. But as
exactly.
long as you're protected, then that I find is the most effective way that I deal with it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Giving them the opportunity. Yeah.
I would also add, I've been dealing with this a lot, guys, and I've gone to Dana for advice on this a few times. And you guys know, if you watch the channel, they'll just every month or two, the trolls roll in and do damage to the channel and come out. And it's gotten to the point where now it used to really hurt my feelings, and now I just I'm like, this is part of the experience. What am I supposed to learn? I mean, when my YouTube channel got taken down, you guys saw me. I was mad for like, I don't know, 2 hours, and then I was like, okay, let's go to Twitch. And now it's a good, it's been a real positive move to come over here. So you get better at it. I will say this, is you definitely get better, where I used to be just so knee-jerk reaction, and I still let that upset and those feelings happen, but I'm very aware that's what they are, and it's gotten much easier to let go of it. Like, I get attacked all the time, and now I'm like, whatever. Where it used to really bother me.
I have people telling me I'm being attacked. I actually don't see the attack myself most of the time. I just have people telling me I'm being attacked. But, you can't please everybody, and not everybody is going to like you, and not everything is going to work out the way it is. Anxiety is a really hard thing to deal with these days. What I use for anxiety is I use that wonderful pure tranquility oil that I really, really like. It just really helps calm the cells. It's one of those essential oils that just permeates through your body. It's a very intuitive oil, so it just sort of calms the blood down, allows the brain to sort of be clear of thinking. So quite often when I'm feeling anxiety, I'll just pull out my oil and give it a good sniff, and it just sets me straight again.
Another good anxiety trick you can do, it's a supplement though, because I feel like most people have a magnesium deficiency. Again, it's from the food, from our environment. There's one particular strand of magnesium that if I have any anxiety, I take one of these pills, it instantly takes it away. It's all natural. And what it's called is magnesium malatate. I don't know if you can see that. That's the type of strain. There's like 4 different strains of magnesium you can take. But if you look into this particular strain of magnesium, it's excellent if you have a bit of an influctuation, because I think a lot of people's anxieties is from low magnesium, or they get muscle cramps in the legs or the thighs or flickering eyelids. I just wanted to put that out there. That helps me personally. Being a sensitive empath, I got to keep my magnesium levels high, because if I don't, then I can feel the bombardment from the negative energy and the Wi-Fi signals. Another thing that really helps me.
Yeah, and I'd also add my 2 cents is Epsom salts is a good way to get that into, taking sitz bath. If you're not a vitamin kind of person, you could absorb a lot of magnesium in a sitz bath. So I've seen that help too.
Could you do that for your feet too? Like when you're doing like pedicures and stuff like that, or even just soaking your feet? Can you do that with the Epsom salts and still get the same results?
I don't know if it's just feet, because I'm sure you could, but it's a surface area game. You want to put as much underwater as possible. People don't realize that you soak up an enormous amount of water. When I fast, and there will be times where I'm working on my kidneys where I do dry fasting, which means I don't have any food or water, and that's mainly the kind of fasting I do. Some people are so hardcore on dry fasting that they don't shower or touch water at all. And what happens is, I didn't believe it, so I weighed before a shower. I took a shower, I weighed when I got out, and I gained 3 pounds. 3 pounds of water I absorbed through my skin. I can't imagine in a bath it's got to be way more than that. People were... Our culture was very, very bath and lake and stream oriented 100 years ago, and people were a lot healthier. They were better hydrated, they picked up minerals. Nobody takes baths anymore, and it's a shame, because it's really healthy for you.
I think it has a lot to do with getting water from a river, because the water is structured. You know what I mean? So all the molecules of the water are in alignment to our system. So if you're drinking water from a bottle all the time, you're also drinking unwinded, like destructed water. So your cells have a problem ingesting water. So it's hard for you to get hydrated if you're always drinking dead water. I don't know if you know much about structured water or not.
Go ahead and tell people. Now they want to know.
So one second. So basically, if you look at a river, okay, when water runs down a river, and in rivers there's crisscross magnetic fields everywhere, depending on the type of rocks, minerals, crystals, and what's underneath the river. There could be crisscross rivers underneath rivers that create magnetic fields. And when water runs down a stream, it's constantly hitting rocks and stones, so it's constantly reflecting itself in different ways. So it's constantly restructuring itself as it goes. When water sits in like a jar or in a bottle, I don't know the exact time. I know it's somewhere around 48 hours. When a water comes out of a river into a bottle, it starts to unwind the molecules. So they come in clumps. So when you drink unwinded water, all the molecules come in clumps like this. So when you're trying to ingest it, your cells can't take it properly. When you take restructured water, all the molecules are in a straight line. There's lots of documentation about this. You can go on YouTube and you can watch videos on restructured water, and all when the molecules line up, then your cells can ingest it properly. You get properly hydrated. So this is a kind of a makeshift one I made. So basically, I took real powerful magnets. I squeezed them together as hard as I could. It was hard for me to get it together. I put tape around it, and inside of here I got different types of crystals and minerals. So when the water goes in here, it gets livened up by the magnetic field, first of all. So all the molecules kind of start like bouncing around, laughing, having a good time. And then when it comes through the crystals, you're going through 90-degree turns and angles, and plus the crystals that are higher vibration than everything else anyways. So when the water comes out, it's completely restructured. And it literally tastes like static electricity. I get people that try it. Well, they'll take a ball of water, they'll take a drink out of it, I'll run it through the restructurer, and they'll take the same drink. They get confused because their eyes and brains seen the water go through the restructurer, but when they take a sip, it tastes completely different. So you'll literally almost reject the ball of water after you take it from the cup. It won't taste right. It's so bizarre. It messes with your mind.
Now,
if you watch it,
that's so cool that you made one of those. Do you have a tutorial or something on your page to show people how to make that?
I do.
So they can find that on your website.
I've never actually made one on video, but I've explained it quite a few times. But I'll do a video on exactly how I made it.
Request on a tutorial on that, and I'll pimp it out for you.
And how do we do that if we're not making these tubes with all of this? Like, what can we just simply do to make sure? Because I have a water cooler, and I know my water just sits in the jug, and then I filter it through the water cooler. But is there something else I can do just from here, from home?
Well, a extremely simple way of doing it is to take your water in a jug and tornado it.
Okay.
That will slightly start acting out the molecules and get them sort of back in alignment. But really, to do it properly, it has to go through a magnetic field. There's people that pay huge money for magnetic field water generators. If you research it, there's this one in particular. It's called IHO. If you look up IHO, it's a water filtration system, and all it is this little tiny round thing. You put water through it, it goes through a high magnetic field, and after it goes through the magnetic field, it pumps it with 528 hertz resonance. So this is like an advanced version of mine. I don't have a resonator, so I can't. If I had more money, I would have crazy technology to do this. Unfortunately, I only can use what I have, unfortunately. So this is basically like the same thing because crystals are already attuned to the planet, and it's being forced around crystals. So when you drink this, I would love to get people to try this. It's so easy to make. It's so cheap to make. What my idea concept is to take these water coolers that Dana's talking about, take all the guts out of it, put a high magnetic field with a bunch of crystals in it. So every time you dispense water out of it, you're restructuring your water.
Oh, I want that.
I'm going to make them. That's my next thing. I'm
going to
start making.
Do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea.
That's brilliant right there. So we'll keep an eye out, and I'll have you back on the show for sure, John, to play with that. The show is going to start winding down here. If you guys have, I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes each to have any last comments, and then we'll finish up the show. So why don't we start with Dana? Dana, you got anything you want to say?
Well, yes, it's been so much fun. I enjoyed this immensely. I always learn things when I talk to John and Taryn, so I enjoyed it very much. Come by my Curious Psychic group. I'm having a February giveaway. I'm giving away 4 different of my favorite gifts, and so this is a lot of fun, and it's getting a lot of traction on that. So the Curious Psychic on Facebook, if anybody is interested. What else? That's it. I mean,
I want to jump in here for a sec. So Dana doesn't flog me. Last time I forgot to put her link in the thing, and she was like, "Hey, nobody came by my page," and I was like, "Ah." So make sure you tell people, and we've dropped your link a few times. The Dana Jensen psychicmedium.com, but I don't have the Facebook link, so you'll have to drop that in the conversation or at Twitch, or tell us how to get there.
Sure, absolutely. You can just type in the Curious Psychic group and it'll come right up for you. But
can they find it through your Dana Jensen Medium? Is it linked?
On my website? Well, I'm actually redoing my website, so I've been working on that for the last few days, so it has a new look, which I'm really excited about. So come by DanaJensenPsychicMedium.com, and it's been so much fun. John, I would really love to talk to you about getting a table and a bench, so we should get together and have that conversation, and I'll come and pick up my pendant and my water. And yeah, it's just been a great time. So thank you so much for inviting me, Taryn.
You bet, man. This is really fun. And I'd like to have you guys back. I miss these kind of shows. We haven't done a good show like this in a while where we've really dived into some esoteric stuff. It's fun. I miss it.
Yeah.
And Dana, me used to do readings, and we were supposed to do one today. Do you remember last time we were like, hey, let's set it up for February 6th, and both of us, I think, forgot. So Dana, when is your next available time where you want to come on and do some online readings?
Well, we'll probably do it again in March. Maybe the first week in March would be okay, if that works for you.
Yeah.
So I try to do this monthly, just so everybody knows that I'm here. I don't know offhand what day that is, and I don't actually have my calendar open. So I might just have to send you an email and just to tell you what day is best.
Yeah, and hopefully people give us a hard time on reminding us to make sure that I get you in here, because I will forget and she will forget. We both get busy, and so hopefully the fans that are listening will be like, "Hey, Dana," like if you noticed when I dropped a comment on YouTube, I do a little announcement on YouTube that I'm over here on Twitch, and someone was like, "I thought Dana was coming on today," and I was like, "Oh yeah." People were looking for you, and I feel really bad about that. So.
Oh, that's okay. I actually didn't forget. I was ready and ready to go, but I was up late last night. I could not sleep, so it was a slow move this morning. And I think we were supposed to hear John because he has such a wealth of information, and I think it was a better deal. And I probably wouldn't have been as up to doing questions as I normally am. So I'm just going to give that little confession out there.
All right, and they're dropping your link in the chat too. You'll see it go by, guys. You can get to it there as well.
Yeah, come by, see me.
And then John, why don't you go ahead and give us your 2 cents of where people can find more out about you? And I'm going to try to get John to do some live streams, and I'm going to try to kick him in the butt to use some technology. So hopefully, hopefully help him out. John, go ahead and give us
definitely
your final words.
Yeah, before I do, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to the show. I had a blast. I love doing these kinds of shows, and I'm so happy to do another show with Dana. We actually used to do little shows here and there together, and hopefully me and her can do that again in the future. And I'm looking forward to meeting up with you again, Dana, though. I'm looking forward to that. We'll have to get together soon. I have a YouTube channel that I do experiments constantly with plants, fish, myself. I'm always testing different things. I have a website. It's called Earth Wizard Shop. I'm still working on it, but I put a lot of my furniture on there, the wands. I'm starting to make water restructuring devices. I'm going to make them smaller. I'm also talking to a producer that makes these water dispensers, seeing what it would take for me to get involved with him to take all the guts out and build them at his shop. So I'm hoping that goes through. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to be on the show. I had a blast. I can't wait for it again. And yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed having you on. And same with Dana. It's kind of a standing invite. If you are doing cool experiments, I'm all about them. And I would love to have you come on maybe once a month just to catch us up on what the new things you're playing with in your shop. And I'll send people over to your page to look at it. You know, it'll be
definitely
cool.
I'd be happy to do
you're
that.
Always doing cool stuff on your page, so for sure. And I'm gonna have to try some of this Ormus. That'll be an experience. I want to try it. I just got to get off my butt. One more thing to do.
I'm in the middle of making batches now, so in about 4 or 5 days from now it'll be done, and I'd be happy to send you a batch and you let us all know how you feel about it.
I appreciate that, but I'm pretty sure that shipping it over borders, international borders, probably is a pain in the butt. Ship liquid. I don't know if they'll let you, but I would take it if we can find a way to do it.
We can look into it though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah,
we'll figure a way for sure.
I'm down with it, like Charlie Brown. Sure. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna now sign you guys off, and I'm gonna talk to the audience for a bit. So stick around. We're not going anywhere. But thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
I think it signed off. I hope.
Nope.
We're still here. You guys hang up on your end. I think it just keeps us on. I don't quite understand Skype anymore. It doesn't make any sense. If you guys can hang up on your ends, I'd appreciate it. So let's talk for a bit, guys. And we are going to... First thing I want to do is I'm going to thank these people who I'm hoping this works. Roll live credits. I don't know why it's not working. Hold on. Maybe I have to turn it on. Credit roll. It should be working. I don't get it. Well, there were supposed to be credits that are appearing here. Miss Doom, if you're on, you got to help me out. They're not working now. That show all the thank yous for everybody that signed up, and I even got a subscriber supporting the show. So, guys, I'm trying to make a dent here over at Twitch. So any subscribers seem to matter a lot here. So I appreciate anyone that wants to subscribe. And remember, if you're on Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You're already paying for Prime. And you can, you have to do it every month though. It unhooks your subscription every month. So I'd really appreciate it if you want to subscribe to me this month. And I would love it. It's a great way to support me if you're already paying for Prime. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that I still am using Amazon links to make up for the shows. So if somebody wouldn't mind dropping the Amazon links, one of the mods. And I want to say thank you to my mods, Miss Waffles, Iron J Rod, Lava Girl, and where's our last? Oh, Vicky, of course. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time and help me mod over here. It's super nice of you. That being said, let's talk a little bit, because I've got some ideas that I want to talk shop about. And one of them is I've been on this this kind of path where I'm trying to get my health back in better shape. And I'm talking to some of you guys, and some of you guys want to do the same thing too. And I'm thinking about maybe having like a small private Discord group or a server or something where we can encourage each other to stay on track and make each other accountable. Like, hey, did you walk today? Hey, how'd you eat today? That sort of stuff. So I do find it's easier to have like an accountability buddy. Weight Watchers uses that kind of model where they have a group. But I'm looking for people that are very serious, very positive. I don't want any like super negative, hating people. I'm also going to be more vegetable oriented. It's going to be, I'm a vegetarian, so a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to be like, hey, eat fruits and vegetables. And it's not going to be just like me coaching. It's going to be us doing it together. I'm not in there to tell you what to do. I'm just in there as a support. So if you're interested, please reach out and contact me. It is something I've been thinking about doing for a while and setting up. And it is open. And if you have really, if you're serious about getting health problems, you might not be overweight, but you might be sick with some sort of autoimmune disease or something like that. Some of the stuff I'm doing will help that as well. So feel free to check that out. I'd appreciate that. You'll see the Amazon links appearing. Oh, they already went by. Let me see if I can drop it. Amazon. You guys, remember, if you're going to shop on Amazon, it really does help me to use those links right there. If you're going to shop, it doesn't cost you anything extra. Just take 3 seconds, go in through my link before you ever open Amazon, because once you have Amazon open, it doesn't count anymore. So just remember to, it's like in every single show I do, there's those links everywhere. So all you have to do is remember to do that. And some people just save my link. So it's easy, just bookmark it, bam, and you're off on Amazon. And what it does is it takes you to one of my books. Just ignore that, start shopping, and it'll keep track of what you're shopping. And as long as you check out pretty soon, like you don't table it for a day and come back, if you check out with that visit, it'll just send me a little money, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Amazon sends me a thank you, and it does really help the show a lot. So that would be super, super cool. Yeah, Lava, give me a holler if you're interested, and Vicky, health conscious people. Yeah, I just talked about, because I'm very much about when you're like really overweight or oversick and stuff like that. You don't want to open yourself up to a public, like, I'm public, so I get a lot of crap. But as far as like, most people, you want kind of a safe space where you can come and chat and be like, hey, it's been 3 weeks and The other things I wanted to talk about was Saturday. I'm trying to get a lot more organized. I've been wanting to do a show on regrets. Like, are they helpful? Are they hurtful? And some people die and they're like, I regret nothing. I live my life, I regret nothing. Other people are like, I regret some stuff. I'm going to change my life and do it differently. So there seems to be like an argument where it's either, do regrets help or do they hurt? And I'd like to have a little panel about that where we come in and we discuss it. So I'm trying to figure that out. And Vicky, thanks for that, Vicky. Thanks a lot. So I hope you guys will be here Saturday at noon. I don't know if we're streaming tomorrow with the burn and chill. I have to ask Kate. Hold on. Hey, Kate.
Yeah.
Did you want to burn tomorrow?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so that'll be at noon. Noon, okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Then we'll just have a burn and chill where, those are more casual. We'll just come and play games and joke around. And I'll be back at noon apparently tomorrow. And I think that'll be fun. So I'll be there, and then we can talk more about this. And on Saturday, and I just got so much to talk about. There's just so much. We're gonna, like I said, shake the roots, and we're gonna eat up the fruits because I am excited. This is the kind of attraction that's gonna end up putting you in traction. I'm practicing my jive talk. You guys can come help. It'll be good. That being said, let's move over and let's go. The way I end these shows over here at Twitch, I believe it is a nice thing to do to help a new channel. And we are going to show some love to another Twitch channel. We're going to go. Thanks so much for staying with me through the live show. Again, you can check me out on any of these other platforms like DLive and Twitch and Steemit and Minds and all those guys. I'm everywhere. So feel free to swing by, and if you like the show, maybe drop a little crypto to help keep it going. If you are watching this on YouTube, please remember to check out my Patreon. I'm trying to get away from being dependent on YouTube ad money. It's very unstable. So I'm trying to change that out. And for as little as $1 a month, you can check out and help out the show at Patreon. I'd love it. If you're brand new, don't worry about that. Just keep watching the stories appearing here, and hopefully you find something else on my channel you like watching. Thanks so much for your support. Love you guys. Hang in there. Be nice to that cat.